Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Family Law Talk.
Family Law Talk.
Presented by Kirk Stange of Stange Law Firm, PC, with offices in the Midwest. Stange Law Firm is a family law firm. Now, here's your host, Kirk Stange.
Welcome to Family Law Talk. We have an interesting topic today. The topic is, does the judge make a difference? And this is based on an article on our blog, familylawheadquarters.com, dated November 29th, 2022. And the title of that article is, Does It Matter Who the Judge Is? So as a follow-up to this episode today, go on over to familylawheadquarters.com and check out that article for more information on this topic. But let's go ahead and dive in. When a divorce or family law matter begins, many wonder, does it matter who the judge is? In most jurisdictions, a judge gets assigned to the case early on. Once a case is filed, whether it's a divorce, a paternity case, or some kind of a modification, or you name it. And obviously this can vary by state, locality. Everybody can do it a little bit differently, but a judge gets assigned, and then parties oftentimes wonder, does it matter? Is it a situation where the judge is just applying the law in kind of a cookie-cutter manner where it doesn't make a difference who the judge is, or do judges have the ability to do various different things? And so, some parties go in different directions. I think some individuals come into divorce and family law matters and they think, things can be pretty cookie cutter. Like they think, well, it's just going to be 50-50 custody, or it'll be 50-50 property and debt division, and, there's a child support chart and numbers just get inputted in there. And again, that can vary based on the state in terms of the child support formula. But some individuals come down in that camp out of the gate thinking it probably doesn't matter, right? Other parties come in and they think, well, it could be a big deal who the judge is. Judges can do lots of different things, and to some individuals, the concept of a judge deciding their case can be a little intimidating. It can be a little scary, and they can worry or wonder whether or not this judge would do something different from that judge, and whether it's better to have this judge versus that judge. And so these questions come flying from individuals when a divorce or family law matter begins. Many individuals very curious about the judge and what that judge may or may not do, because the truth is, it feels like in a lot of ways their life is in the hands of this judge. And so it can be, like I say, a little intimidating, a little bit scary. So let's go ahead and jump in terms of what's the scoop. Does it matter who the judge is? Does it not matter who the judge is? Is the truth sort of somewhere in the middle? All right? And I'll just preface this all by saying, look, reasonable folks can sort of disagree here. Some attorneys might come down, more one way than the other on this topic, and certainly one might argue different jurisdictions could, in different localities, it could have a greater or lesser impact, okay? But in a general sense, the reality of this question is really quite complex, okay? So it's not necessarily an easy one to answer. It is true that some states have a set child support formula, and I'd say most states, do, and certainly the states I'm licensed to practice in have child support formulas, and some states also have spousal maintenance formulas. Some states it's pretty wide open in terms of what a judge may or may not do, but more and more states have kind of concrete maintenance formulas, maintenance caps based on the years of marriage, and again, some states don't have that at all, like Missouri, where I've predominantly practiced in my career. In terms of spousal maintenance, there isn't a set formula that courts apply like they would with child support, okay? But then you get into other issues like take child custody. Judges are supposed to do what's in the best interest of the child, and in state statutes have criteria that judges are to look at in determining what's in the best interest of the child. And look, the reality is yes, there is a set formula, but set criteria, I should say, that judges look at in determining what's in the best interest of the child. But at the same time, the judge's ability to weigh those factors gives certainly discretion. Take marital property and debt division, okay? Most states are now equitable division states where it says the court is to divide marital property and debt in a just manner when considering various factors, and different state statutes can delineate different factors and weigh them one way or the other, but the term just is somewhat ambiguous, I should say, and judges can do things that are quite a bit different. And so, look, the reality of the situation is, yeah, it does matter, in my opinion, in a lot of respects, who the judge is. I mean, different judges could have different outlooks. They could have different tendencies, ways they've decided cases in the past that could have some bearing and could have certainly some impact in terms of how the case could ultimately come out. And so to sort of break this down a little more detail, again, what one judge might find to be just, another judge might have a different opinion, okay? Because most state statutes don't say property and debt has to be divided 50-50. It says it's divided in a just manner. And so what's just to Judge A could be unjust to Judge B in theory. Now, in saying that, most judges, I would say, aren't that terribly far apart on an issue like property and debt division. I mean, most judges, even though it says just, are trying to do some sort of equal division, which is fairly close to 50-50. But you just have to know it can make a difference, and certain judges do have different tendencies and have decided certain cases certain ways in the past. And certainly most lawyers can, who practice family law and they are in front of particular judges a lot, can see these tendencies, in fact. The same is true with child custody. So look, there is a standard best interest of the child when considering all the factors, but it is important to understand that what Judge A thinks is the best interest of a child, Judge B could have a different outlook and could look at it differently. Some judges might be very much of the shared parenting outlook, where they think kids ought to be in both parents' homes a lot. There could be, situations where they might want to deviate from that, but from a starting point, they could be very pro-shared parenting. Look, and there's some judges out there who still think that kids do better in one home, predominantly, right? So not necessarily shared parenting. Certainly both parents get to see the kids, but, some judges still think, as judges did predominantly in the past, that the kids did better in one home versus going back and forth. And so, look, best interest of the child is a standard, but different judges can weigh that quite a bit differently. Even when you get into child support, okay, yes, there are formulas for the calculation of child support. And again, this can vary by state, and certainly if you're listening to this podcast, get with a lawyer who's licensed and competent to practice law in your jurisdiction if you have specific child support questions, because the formulas can vary by state. But having said that, a lot of these formulas get into the concept of either gross income or net income of the parties being a pretty big factor in terms of the calculation of child support. Sometimes this can be really easy and simple to figure out. I mean, if somebody's just a W-2 employee and all the income is shown on that W-2 and they just have one job, and then this might be quite simple. But in other cases, take where somebody has a second job, take where somebody has commissions that they might get, or they might get bonuses that could vary from year to year. Take somebody who's a business owner, where it's not as simple as just simply looking at the W-2, but there could be draws from the company that are income, but it's just not on the W-2. This is where it can get quite a bit more complicated than that, and this is where a judge could have some tendencies in terms of, what do they think about bonus income? What do they think about commission income? Are they going to include that on the chart? Are they not going to include that on the chart? Are they conservative in terms of their approach on this issue? Are they more open-ended? Will they be more likely to put the commission income in or the bonus income on that child support chart? It can make a difference. So look, going back to the original question, does it matter who the judge is? Again, a complicated question in a lot of respects. And again, reasonable attorneys can disagree. And there's certainly not a, quote, black and white answer on this. And it very well might be true as well that in certain localities, certain courthouses, maybe there's multiple judges, but they're all of the same general mindset on these kinds of issues. Okay, well then maybe it might not make that big of a difference at that particular courthouse. In other courthouses, look, judges could have different outlooks. Judge A could view issues one way, but if you go down the hallway to Judge B, they could view them a different way. And so in a courthouse like that where there's multiple judge options and the judges are not perfectly aligned in terms of their approach, then it can make a difference in terms of what judge is assigned. Some cases as well, look, you could file a divorce in County A, or you could maybe file it in County B, let's say, which we refer to as venue options. Well, maybe Courthouse A does things generally one way, but Courthouse B does things a little bit differently. So, look, it's a complicated question. It's not black and white, but one of the things I think is important for anybody going through a divorce or family law matter to do is have a conversation with their lawyer about this. Ask about the judge assigned. Ask about venue options, if a case could be filed in different venues, and get the attorney's perception on whether or not it will make a difference or not. Because, again, the truth is, while there's formulas and there's statutes and, child support guidelines, judges do have a lot of discretion in terms of weighing these statutory factors and the child support guidelines out there in terms of what they do. And so you can't say at the same time that the judge assigned is never going to make a difference. In some cases, it could make a big difference if you get Judge A or Judge B in a courthouse, or whether you file in County A or County B to get a different judge. It could make a big, big difference. In other instances, as I talked about, where you could only file it at one courthouse, let's say, and Judge A, B, and C all kind of think and do things generally the same way, then maybe it might not make a big difference at all. But it's definitely something to talk about with your lawyer. In some cases, you might be able to take a change of judge if your lawyer doesn't like the judge that was assigned, or you have concerns about the judge that was assigned. In some jurisdictions, you can do it early in the case as a matter of right. In other circumstances, you might be able to do it for cause, although that's very difficult, and at least in my experience, is something that doesn't often work. And so out of the gates is when you want to weigh this judge question in terms of where you file the case and whether you got this judge or that judge and how they analyze cases and view cases. I mean, do it early because that is often the time where the choice is really there. Once you get into the case, very hard to get a different judge. All right, so again, as a follow-up to the episode today, going over to familylawheadquarters.com, check out the article, Does It Matter Who the Judge Is?, dated November 29th, 2022, for more information on this topic. But look, thanks for tuning in today. I hope you found this topic interesting. Stay tuned for our next episode of Family Law Talk coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Family Law Talk with Kirk Stange. Visit StangeLawFirm.com for more about today's topic, or to put Stange Law Firm to work for your family today. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertisements. Neither the Supreme Court of Missouri or Illinois reviews or approves certifying organizations or specialist designations. The information you obtain on this podcast is not, nor is it intended to be legal advice. You should contact an attorney for advice regarding your individual situation. We invite you to contact us and welcome your calls, letters, and electronic mail. Contacting us does not create an attorney-client relationship. Please do not send any confidential information to us until such time as an attorney-client relationship has been established. And finally, past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Kirk Stange is responsible for the content. Principal place of business, 120 South Central Avenue, Suite 450, Clayton, Missouri, 63105. Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.